Welcome back to Truth or Recon. I'm Agent D. Baker, a retired narcotics detective, SWAT team member, and U.S. Navy combat veteran of OEF and OIF. With years of real-world experience in high-stakes environments, I have seen firsthand the dangers that lurk both in our communities and now increasingly online. These conversations can get raw, they can get heavy, and sometimes they may not be suitable for children, so consider this your disclaimer. But if you care about truth, justice, and accountability, then you're in the right. What's up, everybody? Hope everyone's having a good Friday night. We have a really big live tonight. A lot of info to talk about, a lot of things to discuss. I'm pretty excited about it. I hope you all are as well. We're going to discuss, I'm going to give a full update on where the Yazeed trial is. Yazeed is the defendant in the Aniah Blanchard case that's being tried right now in Macon County, Alabama. I've been in trial for the last 3 days, watching all the witnesses testify and listening. And so we're going to, and the mainstream media has been putting out misinformation, and they're literally sitting right next to me during the trial. I don't understand how they get the information so twisted. And they're supposed to be real journalists. One problem is I don't think any of them's over 20 years old. Anyway, I'm pretty frustrated with them. But we're going to discuss everything so everyone knows exactly what has been going on. Y'all give me 1 second. I've messed up a setting on my monitors, and it's driving me insane. Oh, there we go. That is so much better. All right. If you haven't, please share the live. We're also going to discuss the 2 attacks that occurred this week. The one in Virginia and the other in my goodness, I can't even remember what the other one was off the top of my head. But we'll get into it. Y'all bear with me. It's been a long week. I am apparently struggling here. Let's see. Today was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Carolyn's confused herself too on it. Can everybody hear me and see me good? Yeah, Michigan was the other one. You're right. Yeah, the synagogue was in Michigan, and then the Old Dominion University in Virginia. But we'll talk about those next. I apologize. I'm struggling. Like I said, I'm struggling to get going here. Once I get going, we'll be good. All right. So if you're not familiar with the case, I'm going to give a quick synopsis of the full chain of events as far as the incident. And then we'll move into the misinformation that's been shared the last few days by mainstream media and some information that hasn't been shared. So in 2019, October of 2019, Aniah Blanchard, a 19-year-old college student who lived in Auburn, Alabama, was traveling back from the Birmingham, Alabama area back to Auburn after a weekend at their family with their family. And it was Aniah and her brother, and he was also a college student. He went to Auburn University. And they got back into town around 11 p.m. that night after a very long day. They had actually been at a family or friend's funeral. So they hadn't had the best weekend. But they got back late, and Aniah dropped her brother off at his apartment, and then she was going to her apartment, which was 10 minutes away. She dropped him off, left, and then she messaged her roommate, or her roommate texted her one way or the other, but she told her roommate, I'm on my, I'll be home in just a minute. I'm almost there. And she and her roommate always shared their locations on, I think it was Snapchat. So she saw where Aniah was, which was right down the road, less than 2 miles from their apartment. When I then took a little short detour as far as she pulled into a gas station 2 miles from her house, walked inside, and purchased a bag of chips. It was all she bought. Very quick trip. She walked out. It was the last time Aniah was ever seen alive. So the next day, her roommate and brother notified her family that she didn't come home that night, and they knew something wasn't right because it wasn't like her. She was a great kid, never been in any trouble. Wouldn't the type to just stay out all night, especially after telling her roommate she's going to be home, and she was so tired. And her family then headed to Auburn as they called the police to notify them that she was missing. So a few days later, a massive search began with Auburn Police Department and along with Lee County Sheriff's Office, which is the county Auburn is in. And 2 days later, her vehicle, the authorities had released this information to the public, asking for help and with a description of her vehicle. So her vehicle was located in an apartment complex in the Montgomery area of Alabama. Montgomery is about 50 miles from Auburn. And so police responded and located her vehicle. She was nowhere to be found. No one was in the vehicle. It appeared it had been wrecked, not horribly, but there was some damage on it that wasn't there before, fresh damage. And then there was a lot of blood in the passenger side, on the passenger side, in the seat and the floorboard. It was very concerning at that point for law enforcement. So they handled her vehicle like a crime scene, and during their investigation, especially once they found the car, they had already requested her bank records to see if she had used her debit card or credit card, and they saw that the last time she had used her debit card was at that gas station that night. So they responded to that gas station, a Chevron gas station there in Auburn, and obtained the surveillance footage from that night. And they observed Aniah come in, purchase the bag of chips, and leave. In the same video, they observed a black man that was already in the store when she walked in. And when she walked out, his eyes never left her. And then he immediately exited the store right after her. And you can see it plainly and clearly on the security footage from the gas station. So moving on, her phone was turned off because they tried to get a location on it with no luck. And in the meantime, they did determine that the blood in the vehicle was Aniah's, and also found some of her DNA in the vehicle as well, which is not odd. It was her vehicle. So during their investigation, it led them to another subject who goes by the nickname of, let me get my notes out here so I don't get mixed up. His name's Antoine Fisher. Goes by the nickname as Squirmy. And while speaking with Squirmy, it was determined that he possibly knew where Aniah was located. And he was able to take the police to where she was located, which was in a rural part of Macon County, Alabama. And Macon County is right in the middle, right in between of Montgomery and Auburn, right off the interstate, behind a small country church on a 2-lane road. and that's where they located Aniah. And this was a little over a month after she had been missing. It was determined that she had been shot, and due to the time, they couldn't tell much else at that point. So now we'll get into Antoine's testimony. He testified on Wednesday. I was there, and we'll go over exactly what he testified to, and what he says got him to where they were. So Antoine had been at work that night. He got off of work around 4 a.m., and he testified that Yazeed contacted him and asked him to borrow his truck because Antoine had a pickup truck. And I'm just going to refer to him as Squirmy for now. And then Squirmy said, okay, yeah, fine. So this is right after Squirmy got off work. He was tired. According to Squirmy, he then took some illicit rugs and I think drank some alcohol as well. He said he didn't know what they were doing, but Yazeed just told him not to ask questions, that he needed his truck. So Yazeed drove the truck, and Squirmy states that he fell asleep. He states when he woke up, they were parked behind this church, backed up to the woods, and that he saw Yazeed dragging a comforter or blanket, and it looked like there was 2 feet hanging out of it. And that's all he said he saw. Then eventually Yazeed got back in the truck, and they drove back to a residence. After that, let me make sure I hit all the key points in his testimony. One thing that the defense kept hitting on, pushing on Squirmy during testifying, during cross-examine, was they were trying to imply that the district attorney and or law enforcement and or both had promised him that, yes, Jennifer, had promised him that no matter what he did, they were going to take care of him. Squirmy denies that, as well as law enforcement. So there is no evidence of that. That's just one thing the defense was trying to, again, imply and hit on. Because Squirmy was, at that point, charged and arrested for kidnapping and obstruction of justice. They also try to hit on Squirmy's past. About 20 years ago, he had a serious assault, possibly even murder, I think. He did some time in prison. Nothing. He hasn't been in trouble for any kind of violent crime since. Again, that was over 20 years ago. I don't remember how long he did in prison. So then after Squirmy and Yazeed part ways that day, early that morning, Yazeed ends up at some point the next day. Yazeed ends up at a casino, which is located right outside of Montgomery. And he called another friend of his, David Johnson III, and that's who testified right after Squirmy. And David Johnson III, who is currently in federal prison for the next 15 years for trafficking, nothing violent. So he testified that Yazeed called him later that morning and told him that he had run out of gas and he needed him to come pick him up and take him to get gas. And he asked him where he was. He told him at the casino. He said he'd be in the casino, or that he would be, in the casino. So Johnson and his girlfriend traveled to the casino. They come into contact with Yazeed, and he asked him where his vehicle is. And it was about, I think he said about a mile or 2 miles away from the casino. But first they go into the casino and play for a couple hours, for a little bit. Then he picks him up, takes him to the car, or they go get gas in a gas can. Johnson takes Yazeed back to his vehicle, and he was in his vehicle at this time, which was like a van. He puts gas in it, and then they end up at a Clarion hotel. And I'm going to mixed up. This was 2 days ago. Or I'm sorry, they went to the Motel 6 in Montgomery. Now, this was later on, but part of Johnson's main testimony was weeks later, he was watching the news, saw the news, and saw Yazeed on the news. And it was a video that the police had put out trying to get help, trying to see if people could help them identify him. He saw him. He knew it was him. He knew the jacket he always wore, and he knew it was him. At that point, he knew Yazeed was at Johnson's father's house, who was David Johnson II. And so he calls his dad and said, "Hey, Yazeed's all over the news. We got to get him away from that house." So he drives to his dad's house, confronts Yazeed, said, "You're all over the news. We got to get you out of here." And he said Yazeed got in a car with him, and that Yazeed had a pistol with him the whole time sitting in his lap. And he felt like he was doing it to try to kind of threaten him. Anyway, he drove him to Pensacola, Florida, dropped him off at a hotel. And that exact hotel is where the U.S. Marshals ended up picking up Yazeed. I'm sure they traced his phone. So that's how Yazeed was taken into custody. And Yazeed was taken into custody before Aniah was located. So at this point, they could only they were charging him with kidnapping because they still didn't know where she was and he wasn't talking. I said that was a couple weeks away. It wasn't a couple weeks, but it was not the same day. All right, so that's their testimony. There was a white girl that testified as well. Her name something White. Her mother was another word to use on here without getting in trouble, lady of the night. And the next day, she picked Yazeed up, met him at a what is it that they go and they pay them to draw their blood, but it's not. My mind is crazy tonight. I'm struggling. Plasma center. So they met at a plasma center, and then her mother told Yazeed that she wasn't making any money in is either Auburn or Montgomery that day, and so he agreed to take her to, I think, Columbus, Georgia. Again, that was later the next day. So, jumping back in, I know that was probably a little confusing. I didn't mean to jump around like that and be that confusing. But let me get back to where we can just talk, and I can get us back on track. They have Aniah, as I said, on the security footage at the Chevron and Yazeed. They weren't able to obtain any of the camera footage outside the store at the gas pumps because apparently they only recorded when motion, when they detected motion, and since she wasn't parked in the gas pumps, they didn't get anything out there. However, during the investigation, they did end up at a Murphy gas station, which was just down the road from the Chevron. Let me see exactly what road it was, or exactly where it was. So the Chevron gas station was on South College Street. Again, it was about 2 miles from Aniah's apartment. Then at a Murphy's gas station or gas pumps, which is part of Walmart's. You know, you have a Walmart and then the Murphy's gas pumps out in front of them. At 12:30, hold on. So they have Aniah and Yazeed on the security footage at the Chevron a little after 11 o'clock p.m. Then 20 minutes later, I can't remember how long it was. Anyway, in between 11:10 p.m., 15 p.m., whatever time they caught them on that camera, in between that and 12:34 a.m., they located security footage from that Murphy gas pumps on the same night, and where you observe Aniah's vehicle pull into the gas pumps, and Yazeed is seen getting out of the passenger seat. He walks up to the window at the fuel pumps and buys something, and then gets back in the passenger seat and they drive off. They don't get gas or anything. So, which is obviously very strange considering she had just left a gas station. Now, it is also strange that he got out of the passenger seat and then back in the passenger seat because it is believed that he forced her into her car at the Chevron gas station. That's the only thing that makes sense of why she wouldn't have just let him in her car. She didn't know him. She was tired. She had just told her friend, Snapchat, her roommate, that she was about to be home. And she goes in the opposite direction of her apartment because the Murphy gas station was in the opposite direction. And he is seen getting out of the vehicle and then back in it. Then at 12:34 a.m., they are seen on, I think, I-85. South College Street still, just before you get to I-85 at 12:34 a.m., her car is seen by a license plate camera on the road. I guess I would say it since they talked about a flock camera. On that, you can't tell who is in the vehicle, who is driving or nothing like that. But that's what they see, her vehicle still traveling away from her apartment. Before that, her roommate had messaged her back and said, "Hey, where are you?" Because she had not made it home yet. And then she checked her location and saw that she was nowhere near the gas station anymore and going in the opposite direction. So she's like, "Where are you?" And the message she got back, it was something that it is testified to that Aniah would never say. Because the message she got back was, "I'm smoking a blunt, LOL." And that she said she had never heard Aniah use that word, ever. It's just not the way she talked, and it didn't make any sense with the context of what they had been discussing, that she was about to be home. So it kind of weirded her out, and she said, who are you with? Or are you with somebody? And she said, Eric. And she's never heard of an Eric either. So her roommate was very confused that night, didn't really understand what was going on, and then she fell asleep, thinking that she was going to wake up the next morning and I'd be there. She thought Aniah was messing with her, is what it is, because she knew that's not how Aniah talked, and she's never heard of an Eric. And she said Aniah's not the type that's just going to find a random guy and get in the car with him or go smoke a blunt with him or anything like that. But she woke up the next day, she wasn't there, and that's when she knew something was up. Keep in mind, during all of this time, Squirmy is still at work. He didn't get off work till 4 a.m. that morning. So the last time her car is seen on the flock camera at 12:34 a.m., Squirmy still at work for the next 3.5 hours at least. So therefore, he couldn't have been in the vehicle with him. I think that's probably what's keeping him from being more of a suspect. Yeah, Shawnee, that's what doesn't make sense. She asked, wonder why she didn't drive off when he got out. She was either scared to death or she wasn't driving. Because just because Squirmy wasn't there doesn't mean somebody else wasn't. But again, we don't know. And there's no evidence of anyone else being there. They didn't see anyone else on the video camera at the Chevron, nor at the Murphy gas station. But again, Yazeed's the only one that got out of the vehicle. But that doesn't make sense to me. Because between 11 10 or whatever time they were seen at the Chevron, and 5 a.m. the next morning, Aniah was bleeding heavily in the passenger seat. They also located a bullet that was lodged inside the passenger door that had been shot from inside the vehicle and inside of the passenger door. So my theory, and I think theirs as well, on why there was so much blood in the vehicle is that she fought back. So if she was still driving when they went to the Murphy gas station, it's possible that she was still in shock or confused, because it's possible. And I've dealt with a guy that used to do this in the Shoals area. And if you live up there, you probably know what I'm talking about. He's been arrested numerous times for robberies and things. And it was specifically at Murphy gas station, actually, now that I think about it. But what he would do is a female would be sitting in her car or just pumping gas and get back in her car, and he would flop down in the passenger side seat without asking them or anything. They would get back in her car, and he's sitting there, and he would threaten them, and then they would drive off. He would either have a weapon pointed at them or just threaten them with a pointy object, and they would drive off, and then whatever would happen. He did that numerous times. So it's possible that is what happened with Aniah. Again, this is speculation on my part, but I think it's the same that law enforcement believes, that it's possible Aniah went and got in her car, and then before she knows it, he's opened the passenger door and flopped down in the seat. Did he have a weapon pointed at her? We don't know, but we know that he had a weapon on him that night because a shot was fired from inside the vehicle. So it's possible he was just sitting there and said, you got to give me a ride or something. And she freaked out, and she's like, oh, okay, where? And he told her to Murphy gas station. I don't know. Because again, it appears that she started fighting back at some point. And so maybe she was just in shock in the beginning. And then once she realized this is not going to end well for me, I got to do something, then she started fighting back. I don't know. Now, we'll get into the evidence. And then I'm just going to start taking questions, because I think I've probably confused a lot of people, because I've confused myself. I was not as smooth as I was hoping I would speak on this, and I apologize for that. I should have waited until tomorrow night to do this. But anyway. The only identifiable DNA that was located inside Aniah's vehicle was Aniah's. Makes sense. She's in it all the time. There was what I would call partial DNA samples, partial DNA profiles located in the car that they could only determine was from a male, but there wasn't enough from it to determine anything else. Now, we know her brother was in the car earlier that night too, but they never found any good DNA that came back to him in there either. When law enforcement found the vehicle, once they got into it, inside the vehicle, they said there was a very strong chemical smell, which they all believed to be a cleaning solution. They said it was very strong. So more than likely what happened, when he dropped that car off at that apartment complex, he went around and got some cleaning stuff and wiped down where he was sitting, as far as the driver's seat and maybe the steering wheel. I don't know. Again, a speculation. But with the strong chemical smell, they cleaned something, or somebody did. We said that. somebody cleaned something inside the vehicle, but they obviously didn't worry about the blood because I guess they knew it was hers. And I also remember their vehicle had been in an accident at some point that night. Again, it wasn't a horrible one, but there was very visible damage, and law enforcement was never able to locate where that happened. They drove her all around Auburn and was never able to locate any of the parts for her car, where they hit a wall or curb or anything like that. So it's a possibility when she started fighting back, he ran off the road somewhere. Again, that's speculation, but something happened. But yeah, I mean, the biggest mystery to me is who was driving her car when they pulled into the Murphy gas station. Because again, this is right after they left the other gas station. So did he have somebody else with him, or was she just so scared at that point she didn't know what to do and she was in shock? I don't know. Because we don't know what this monster told her. Because keep in mind, this monster had 2 prior attempted murders, at least 2 prior kidnappings, at least 2 prior robbery in the first degree, which means a robbery with a weapon or a robbery where someone got hurt, injured, which you'd call a strong arm robbery in most states. And some other serious assault convictions. He should have been in prison, but they kept letting him bond out. And then he would go catch more kidnapping charges and attempted murder charges, and they'd let him bond out again. That's where the whole Aniah's law came in, because he should not have been out of jail. And that's on the judges. He is now also the main suspect in another capital case since he's been in jail. For this, they have traced another capital kidnapping and murder on him. This guy's a monster. And I've watched him in trial this week. I pay a lot of attention to him. Just watching him. His reactions, his body language. He has no emotion. None. He has not shown any emotion whatsoever. None. Now, side note, while we're on that, I've not seen him get overly nervous, whatever you want to call it. Now, I'm not saying he hasn't during the trial. I'm saying I have not seen him noticed it yet. Until today, as soon as they started talking about the video from the Murphy gas station, like literally before they had said who was in the video or what had happened in it, as soon as they mentioned that, because he was standing up in the front of the courtroom, kind of to the right of the judge, so they could watch the TV where they were going to be showing the video. His body language was screaming that he was about to lose it, that he was scared. I don't know if scared is the right word, but he was extremely nervous. So, like my notes I took down, suspect is observed by me to get very uncomfortable while prosecution is talking about the Murphy video. His hands were interlocked, very tight. He hadn't had his hands interlocked because I've been looking for that. He hasn't had his hands interlocked during the whole time I've been there that I've seen. As soon as they started talking about it, he immediately interlocked his fingers, and was tight. He was rubbing his lips together like that. I'd not seen that before. This all started happening at the exact same time, by the way. And his left shoulder was a lot lower than his right shoulder. Every single one of those are very good, big red flags, indicators of extreme nervousness, and he had them all at the same time. So I don't know if he hadn't fully thought about the video. Maybe it just wasn't on his mind at the time with everybody else testifying and everything. I don't know, but he was not liking anything when that video was brought up. And he stayed that way the whole time during that video. And then when they moved on to another subject, he was back to himself, completely emotionless, nothing. So I thought that was, like I said, it stood out so much. I took some notes on it because it was very, very apparent that he was very bothered at that point. And again, I haven't seen him show any emotion, and so it all. No, I didn't see him showing hardly any emotion when Skirmy was on the stand. Now, again, I'm not watching him the entire time. Keep that in mind. Because I also like to watch who's testifying, especially if it's a random witness or a civilian witness, because I like to watch their body language too. So I'm not saying he hadn't been nervous or anything. I'm saying I had not noticed it before. But it stood out. I mean, all of it, again, all at the exact same time. Doing things that he had not done before, or that I observed him do before. I definitely had a good baseline for him, obviously. But anyway, I thought that was notable. Now, yesterday, during testimony, when the prosecution was questioning the who was it? It was a police officer. Let me get it right. Sorry, I've got pages and pages of handwritten notes here, so bear with me for a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. It was the DFS, the Alabama Department of Forensic Science expert that the prosecution was questioning yesterday about all the DNA evidence. And I'm not hating on the prosecutor. Please don't misunderstand me. But I'll read you the note that I took right after that questioning yesterday. DA's questioning of the DFS expert does not make sense. He is asking him about a bunch of different items that were present inside Aniah's vehicle, and it sounds like he's working for the defense. I don't need to read that part out loud there. Okay. We'll stop there on my hand notes, personal notes. But yeah, it was weird. Anyway, during that time, they spoke about 2 condoms. And the DFS expert testified that Yazeed was excluded from both of them, and Aniah was excluded from both of them, and Squirmy was excluded from both of them. And so it was strange. I'm like, first off, the only people I've ever caught that keep used condoms on them, like in their pockets, in their cars, is when I've caught a child predator, where they had just been with a very young girl or something like that, and they didn't want to leave that evidence behind. They'd stick it in their pocket, leave it in their car, something like that. It's the only time I've ever found that in a vehicle. So that's odd. So I'm like, why were those in the vehicle? And the prosecution was not fully clear on those two items. Now, I've been told today by somebody else that was there that they understood it yesterday, that he said that the prosecutor was saying that the condoms were with the vehicle, not in the vehicle. I took it as in, and as well as obviously every news person there, journalist there, because that's what they all reported yesterday, which is exactly why I said earlier in the week, I'm not commenting on anything till at least we get through this week. That's why. I don't care if I'm the first to report something. That's not what I do this for. I try to be very factual. So, but they all reported that yesterday. And that caused a lot of speculation on social media. Understandably. Well, today, it made all the sense in the world. Because today, and this is where today he was the lead case agent on the case while being questioned, is the one who located the condoms, and they weren't located inside her car at all. Not even close. This is in an apartment complex where her car was located. Those were located at least, he said, at least 200 feet, over 200 feet away, under a tree in the apartment complex. Now, I completely understand why law enforcement collected those and got them tested. I don't understand why the prosecution introduced them into evidence. I would understand the defense doing it, but prosecution did, and the prosecutor asked 10,000 questions about them yesterday, kind of acting like they were a key piece of evidence. Then today we find out they had nothing to do with this case at all, obviously. So that was one thing I wanted to get cleared up tonight. And I hope the mainstream journalists that were there goes back today and corrects that, but I doubt it. But I want to make sure everyone fully understands that now we know those had nothing to do with the case. That's why nobody involved with this case's DNA was on them. So that's pretty important. Now, in the prosecutor's defense, he did very well today, I thought. He did very well in his questioning, and everything was very clear today. He was not on yesterday. But again, I'm not a prosecutor. I'm not an attorney. So I'm not sitting here saying I would have done better. I'm just saying I've sat through hundreds and hundreds of trials. I've testified in tons of trials. It was very strange to me the way he was talking about those yesterday, and then today to find out they weren't involved whatsoever. All right. Let me answer a bunch of questions because I'm sure I've confused everybody, and I apologize again. Let me get some questions. Okay, good question. Jennifer asked, is Squirmy in jail or out? Squirmy's charges were eventually dropped. He was originally charged with kidnapping and obstruction of justice, like I said. They were eventually dropped. I'm guessing because law enforcement and prosecution determined that they bought his story and have no other evidence saying otherwise, and so they don't think he was really involved. Now, again, I don't know. But there is absolutely no proof that they promised him anything, and he himself stated numerous times on stand that they never told him anything like that. And the detectives also testified they never told him anything like that. And there's video of all this question when they would speak with him, obviously when they would question him, and full transcripts. And obviously there's nothing in there saying that, or the defense would have brought it up, because they brought up a few statements in there, but they weren't saying that at all. So again, that was just something they were trying to hit on, trying to cause some doubt in the jury's minds. It was reported that the condoms were 11 car lengths away. Yeah, his exact statement, the detective's exact statement was they were at least 200 feet away. So, yeah, I was about to say. Denham, yeah, the trial's not over yet. It just finished week 2. This whole week was testimony, and I think they've got more testimony starting. It starts back up Monday with more testimony. Thank you, Hope. That's the least I could do. Can everybody still hear me good? Melody thinks having issues. No, Squirmy did not drive him to Florida, Jennifer. David Johnson III is who drove him to Florida. Why is he not in handcuffs? You can't put a person that's on trial in handcuffs in front of the jury. There's these leg things. It's the same thing we used when we would carry someone to a capital trial. There's these leg things. They're like big leg braces that's going to be underneath his pants, and it's impossible to run with these things on. And he can't take them off. Like they're locked on there, and you can barely walk with them, much less run. So he couldn't go anywhere. But that's how he's being restrained, and that's very common. Again, you can't have them handcuffed during the jury trial because it's not fair to the defendant for the jury to see him in cuffs. Would I say that so far with the testimony, this is leading to mostly circumstantial evidence? No. The hard evidence in the case is both the videos showing Yazeed with her, or the one with her and the other in her car for sure. And then there's multiple people that were friends of Yazeed's that have placed him in her car, and that he was the one that dropped the car off at the apartments, and that so a couple things I left out about statements he made to Squirmy and David Johnson III. He told Squirmy a few times, man, I effed up. I effed up, and I accidentally shot a girl. David Johnson III, when he saw him on video and went and picked him up from his dad's house, and Yazeed got in his car with him, he said, man, I effed up. And he said, I don't want to hear it. Whatever happened is between you and God. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to hear it. Now, that's according to what he testified to. He was obviously all game to get out of town. And again, according to David Johnson III, he had a firearm on him. And according to Squirmy, he had a firearm on him. And keep in mind, none of these witnesses are allowed to be in the courtroom listening to the other witnesses until they testify. So it's not like one could hear what one is testifying to and then get up there and say the same stuff. It's not allowed. So, and also keep in mind, David Johnson III has been in federal prison for a couple of years now. And so he and Squirmy, I think his statement was he don't even know Squirmy, but there would be no way for them to have got together and came up with a story of any kind to match each other's, if that makes sense. Because I'm sure some people were thinking that's, of that as a possibility, but that would be impossible in this situation. But again, I think according to David Johnson III, he didn't even know Squirmy. And then also, and I can't remember exactly, but I'll have it when the trial gets over, I'm going to do a full podcast and full good breakdown of everything. But the white girl, and she's clearly an addict. I can't remember exactly what all she said, but he said something to her too, and she kind of knew what he had done. So this is a lot of different people that saying he did this, and people that wasn't together at the same time, along with the video. So no, it's definitely not all circumstantial. There are some circumstantial in there, obviously, but there is also some hard evidence. Jennifer, how did Yazeed get to Auburn to the gas station? Because I do believe he drove her car to Montgomery. Again, it's running together to me at the moment, and I don't want to spend 5 minutes looking through my notes again and make y'all sit in silence. But I think that had something to do, with that white girl and or her mom. Also, he had a vehicle. Yazeed had a maroon van, I think, is what he had ran out of gas in the next day. Well, Jennifer, if they don't know each other, and again, I firmly believe they didn't with the way David Johnson III was testifying, because he was being very honest. He's already spending next 15 years in federal prison for his trafficking and stuff, but he was being very honest on stand. I can't say that Squirmy was being completely honest on stand. I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm just saying I can't say he was, but I feel very confident that David Johnson III was. I thought there was video of him taking her to the store, taking her at the store. No, not of him taking her at the store. Was the firearm found? Not that I've heard, but there is still testimony to come. But if anyone else has heard, please correct me if I'm wrong. Because also keep in mind, I missed the first 2 days of testimony, so I'm only speaking on all the testimony I've heard. But all the key witnesses, or what I would consider key witnesses, I've heard. The previous ones that testified was like her brother and some other people like that. Yeah, Squirmy is Yazeed's ex-brother-in-law. Thank you, Heather. Will Yazeed be called to testify? We don't know yet. Obviously, that'll be up to his attorneys, and we won't know that until after all the other testimony is done. No, I don't think the van. I don't think his van or anything was seen at the Murphy's gas station on video. Where did he supposedly take Aniah from? The Chevron gas station on South College Street in Auburn. Oh, David Johnson Jr. or David Johnson III or David Johnson Jr. I thought. Let me check my notes on this. Thank you for correcting me, Heather. I could have sworn it was Squirmy, but let me see what I wrote in my notes. Oh, okay. Now, one thing I just caught my notes as far as the white girl, when she met Yazeed at the plasma center, she saw him get out of Squirmy's white truck. So that just proves that he was definitely in Squirmy's truck that day.
I could have sworn I remember writing down somebody was a brother-in-law of somebody, but I don't see it, but I almost know that I did. Anyway, we'll take Heather's word for it. I'm sure she knows what she's talking about. So the white truck is David Johnson's truck, not Squirmy's? That doesn't make sense to what he was saying. Why are they putting on the news that they couldn't identify him in the car with Aniah? Because they're saying you can't see Aniah in her vehicle at the Murphys. You just see him get out and then get back in the vehicle, but you can't see her in the vehicle. See, I just took it that it was Squirmy's truck, because why did Yazeed call him, and why did he call him and tell him he needed him to help? I don't understand why he did that if it wasn't his truck. Oh, okay. David Johnson told Squirmy to take him in it. Okay. So the white truck is David's. David Johnson Jr.'s. Okay. I appreciate y'all clearing that up. Okay, so Jennifer is saying he didn't call Squirmy. He just showed up at the house, and Squirmy was there at David Johnson Jr.'s house, which is David Johnson III's dad. And then David told Squirmy to take his truck. I mean, you could be right, Joyce, for sure. She said, I feel like Squirmy knows a lot more and may be involved. I mean, again, you definitely could be right. It's just with the way everything looks, and with her having no more communication with anybody, and all the blood located in her vehicle, more likely than not, they took her life. Her life was taken before Squirmy got off work. And I think that's why they ended up dropping his charges, because there's too much evidence showing that her life was already taken. No, none of these people knew Aniah. She was literally a completely innocent college kid that was in the wrong place at the wrong time. No, that's a ridiculous. Nah, Tawana. Now that's somebody being ridiculous that said her brother may have been involved. That's some kind of dumbass conspiracy theorist or something. No, there's no chance of that. No, none of these people knew Aniah. She didn't know any of them. Was he offered a plea deal before trial? No, I don't think so. I doubt it. No, because they're wanting to give him the death penalty, which he fully deserves, and I hope that's what he gets. Is there a way we can follow the trial other than just news up? No, I mean there's no video and allowed in the courtroom or anything. If that's what you're talking about. Now I'm taking good notes. Like I said, I'm not fully prepared tonight, but I mean I've got 3 days of testimony. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 13 full pages of handwritten notes just in the 3 days. So, I mean, I'm good at taking notes because it was my job forever. So I'll be able to put everything together at the end. And like I said, I'll do a full podcast where it will all make better sense instead of me just randomly talking. You're right, Jennifer. I got that wrong. I'm talking about mainstream journalists, and here I'm screwing up too. Squirmy and Yazeed didn't know each other. I was saying David Johnson III and Squirmy didn't. Squirmy and Yazeed did not know each other. Or that's according to Squirmy's testimony anyway. Yeah, I'm going back next week. Thank you, Rhonda. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what Squirmy testified that he took. I can't say the full words on here. I'll probably get in trouble, but we'll say Xan, bars. You'll probably know what that is. He said he took one of those. He took a perk and smoked a blunt. And then he passed out, according to him. In my opinion, only there's a lot missing, and with technology we have available in our state, just so confused why I don't have better footage or concrete footage. I mean, the footage from inside the gas station is as good as can be. The footage from the Murphy's gas station, I mean, that has nothing to do with the state or law enforcement. That's their cameras. But I'll tell you, Walmart, and I'm not seeing that footage from the Murphys, but the detective testified that it is Yazeed that gets out of her vehicle and back in it. Walmart's security cameras are the best I've ever seen. Every Walmart I've ever worked any kind of investigation with, I mean, they are amazing. Who was the guy in the Chevron store watching her? He has nothing to do. You know, that's Yazeed. Yeah, Yazeed is who is on video in the Chevron watching her and then walks out right after her. Tawana, that's not uncommon at all for people that live in that world. Tawana said, so they didn't know each other yet he took pills from a stranger? Yes, yeah. All these people have been to prison. Some of them for a lot of years. I mean, we're not talking about the outstanding. None of these guys or girls, I'm not talking about Aniah, of course, but the white girl that testified, her mom, who was the lady of the night, and none of the eyewitnesses that testified, none of these are outstanding citizens. And I don't mean that I'm not sitting here saying that all of them are evil or monsters. Now, Yazeed is, but they're used to breaking the law. I'll say that. Auburn has tons of cameras yeah, I mean, like I said, they got them on camera from the flock camera. But again, flock cameras only take pictures of the car and the tag. Sometimes how the picture is taken, or if a car's in front of another car in close proximity on flock camera, sometimes you can kind of see somebody in a vehicle. At night, you can't, not on flock camera. You can't see who is in a vehicle at night on a flock camera. You're only going to see the vehicle. Now, you're going to know exactly what kind of vehicle it is and what color and the tag number, but you can't see inside it. And then, again, the other two video. So, I mean, they've got all that. And then, obviously, where she was placed, and it's out in the country. There's no cameras anywhere on there. Yes, Cody, I will. Oh, you know Aniah's family, Joyce? They're amazing people. I was saying this the other day because somebody asked how they're taking it, and they're taking it about the way you would expect. And I don't even really know what Aniah's father and stepmother really look like. I wouldn't recognize them. Obviously, I'm sure they're there as well, but I can see Angela and her husband Walt. They're sitting up in the front. Those are two of the strongest individuals I've seen, because there's no way I could. They're a lot stronger than me. A lot. I don't think I would be able to sit there. And I hate to say that, but I'm just being honest. I don't think I could. And they are, and it's amazing. They are obviously very strong. They get upset here and there for sure. I'm not going to speak on anything else with them that's personal to them as far as, but they are, again, there's obviously a lot of things that are said in trial that's going to upset them for sure, any of the family. But they are champs. I have so much respect for them. I mean, I know a lot about Angela, and she's an amazing woman. And her husband was literally a UFC fighter. He's a huge guy. I wouldn't want to cross paths with him. I mean, his arm's about the size of my entire body. He's obviously very disciplined, and he's a pro athlete. So, I mean, together, I would call them a power couple. And that's the way. And then her stepmother is an attorney. that's the way they were able to get Aniyah's law passed so fast. I mean, it's amazing how fast they got that done, and that's all because of their determination. Because they were not going to sit by and let this happen to another family. And that speaks volumes about how amazing her family is. I mean, it does. And all the other families and things that Angela has helped in during all, I mean, from the time this happened to Aniah to now, with this trial still holding over her head and her still not knowing what the outcome was going to be, whatever. Yeah, she's been out helping. I mean, she was in Walker County when the little boy went missing. I mean, she's helped so many people. She truly cares for other people. I mean, in a way that a lot of people don't. But I have so much respect for them. And I feel so horrible for them also, obviously. Because he is, she said, I'm not sure how Walt don't just snatch him up. Because he's strong. Again, I don't think, I mean, I've never been in this situation, and I pray to God I never am, obviously. I don't think I would have that much self-control. But it shows the self-control he has, and that speaks volumes about anyone to have that much self-control. I don't know how many there is left to testify, Jennifer. That's a good question, but I don't know. Oh, she was there when that girl faked her kidnapping on the interstate in Hoover? That girl. That still pisses me off thinking about that. That was ridiculous. No, there's sometimes I mean, I get emotional a little bit. Like, you're just thinking about some of the stuff they're talking about. I cannot imagine her family. Like I said, I can't. I can't. But I know there was a lot of talk around social media yesterday after the news worded the way they worded things. It's not the way it went. Actually, let me bring that up. Let me go over a few of those and point out what I'm talking about, because it's very frustrating. When you're sitting in the same trial as these journalists and you see how they write stuff up, it's very obvious they do everything they do for clicks. And that's not the way it should be. Yeah, and keep in mind, I was just seeing a message from somebody I was talking to. Keep in mind the defense and prosecution and all witnesses, including Aniah's family, they're all on a gag order under the judge, so they can't speak about anything right now. And I can't imagine how hard that is, because I know they know this case better than anybody. And when they're hearing these inaccuracies come out, I can't imagine what it feels like for them not to be able to set the record straight. And that's why I'm trying my best to do that. But I've not been the best at it, I'll admit. Tonight I was not on my game, but I hope I cleared some things up. And again, anybody has any questions, please ask. And if you're new, make sure you follow or subscribe. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. I do a full podcast, and my full podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. But make sure you check those out. Let me find some of the headlines that pissed me off yesterday. So here's one. A forensic expert testified that DNA belonging to Blanchard was detected on several key items of evidence, whereas Yazeed's DNA was not found on those items. You want to tell what the key items of evidence they were talking about? The steering wheel in Aniah's car, one that she's been driving for a long time. Shocking, her DNA was found on there. And on the gear shifter, Aniah's DNA was found. You know what else was found on the steering wheel and the gear shifter? An unknown male's DNA. Because again, it wasn't enough to get a full profile. They just know it was a male. Those are not key items of evidence. A key item of evidence would be like the firearm. But that's the headline, and that's what gets people in, and that's a very misleading headline. It pisses me off. Oh, I was. So somebody was asking how he got to Auburn. So yeah, the white girl that testified, and I keep calling her that because I think that's literally her last name, and I don't remember her name. I just remember her being a white girl. I've got it written down, but she testified that her and Yazeed traveled to Auburn in his red van to see her mother the day before Aniah's disappearance. On October 23rd, which is that night, is when Aniah disappeared. She said that Yazeed dropped her off at her grandparents' house and left to Columbus to find work for her mother. That's the last time she saw him before meeting up with him at the Plasma Center. Here's another headline. No DNA matches suspect in Aniah Blanchard's murder. Anyway. Yeah, Aniah's roommate testified on either Monday or Tuesday, and I wasn't there those 2 days. Let me send this. I'll give a few more minutes if anybody's got any other questions about the trial or anything, and then I want to move on to the attacks. Whose car was burned? I'm not familiar with a burned car. Am I going to be there from here on out? I can't promise that, but I'm going to try. It just depends on how long it goes on. Like, I'm definitely going back Monday and then probably at least Tuesday and probably Wednesday as well. But I mean, if it goes on for like 2 more weeks, I can't go every day. How do I see trial going the rest of next week? I mean, that just depends. I don't know exactly who is left to testify, but I'll say this, and I think it's what I meant was started to say a while ago, and then I got sidetracked when I was talking about the headlines. So I know there was a lot of people on, I ain't gonna say a lot, but people on social media yesterday that once some of that stuff was said yesterday, I started seeing come, oh, he's going to get off. I don't think that's the case at all. I've been there, and again, there is plenty of evidence that's pointing to he is who did it. Plenty. Now, with a jury, it's always a toss-up, honestly. That's just how juries are. So, I hope I'm not wrong. But yeah, I could be. I mean, for sure. Because again, it's a toss-up with juries. Juries always come down to who is the main alpha in that jury and however they feel, because they're really good at talking everybody else into going along with them. That's usually what it comes down to. I mean, you may be right, Jennifer. I haven't heard of one, but I mean, it's possible. I'll look into that and see. Yeah, there's mountains, like Lisa just said, there's mountains of evidence against him. Like I said, I don't think I did a good job of explaining it tonight either. But me sitting in there, I'm telling you, and again, the biggest day I think was the DNA day with the DFS witnesses, and the way that all got misconstrued and put out to the world by all the journalists there. And again, a lot of they're putting stuff out for clicks. But it was not like horrible, like, oh my God, it was nothing like that. I mean, Squirmy's not getting Squirmy was charged and they dropped it. Again, Squirmy was not around when she was taken. We know that. He was not around until at least 4 hours after she was taken. So, I don't think he was involved in taking her life. Now, may he been more involved with them taking her and placing her where they did? That's definitely possible. Jennifer, if he doesn't get it in this one, he'll probably get it in the next one. Again, they can't bring that up in trial, obviously. But they have another capital murder on him now. Did Squirmy call the police? No, he didn't call the police. Yeah, Squirmy didn't speak up until he was questioned by the police. Well, no, I mean, according to Heather said, but the CRV, which is Anah's vehicle, was taken to an apartment complex in Montgomery. Squirmy probably followed him to that apartment complex in the white truck. According to, now, are you talking about after? They put Aniah out in the woods? If you're talking about that, yeah, that's possible. But when they first got in the truck, as far as David Johnson Jr., Squirmy and Yazeed got in the white truck and left. But I'm telling you, and also knowing Yazeed's all his prior horrible charges and convictions, and me watching him, he has no emotion. I'm not a psychiatrist. And sometimes a psychopath is very hard to pick out, but that's the thing that keeps on coming to my mind watching him in there. He'll smirk. He'll sit up there and smirk every once in a while, and he is not human. He is evil. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And obviously, there's no doubt in anybody's mind whether he was involved with Anah's life being taken. Now, was somebody else involved? That's possible. But he was definitely involved. So Squirmy isn't so innocent, or he would have spoke up sooner. No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. None of these people we're talking about are great for society. I mean, again, they're in and out of prison. Breaking the law does not bother them at all. And they hold now Squirmy states that he was threatened, and that's why he didn't tell, but take that for what it's worth. These people don't like the police, no matter what. They don't call the police for anything. Yeah, Renee, I heard that. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, Squirmy said that I think he said he was threatened without words being used. I think is kind of how he put it. That Yazeed put his finger up to Squirmy's mouth, like telling him to shush. Again, who knows if that's true. I don't think they'll bring in the former DA. I've never seen that happen. I'm also against DAs being out on scenes and stuff like that. That's not, they shouldn't do that. That's just my opinion, but that's never worked out well. Anytime I had a DA come out on one of my big cases one time and I lost my mind. I lost my mind so bad they left because that's never worked out well. I don't think they have any business being out on a crime scene. It's just my opinion. He wouldn't have had no reason to be afraid, you'd think, being they would have possibly put him in. No, he had reason to be afraid. Now, I'm not saying he really was. But knowing Yazeed's history, yeah, I mean, he would probably off you if you piss him off. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind about that. Now, I've had DAs be in an interrogation with me. I'm okay with that, depending on the case. But most of the the only times I've ever had a DA in an interrogation with me, it was when the defendant had their attorney in there too, and so I wanted an attorney with me. Now, I've also done interrogations with just the defendant and the suspect and their attorney, but if it was something really big, I preferred to have a prosecutor in there with me, for my side per se, during the questioning, the interrogation as well. But out on a crime scene, no. All right, let me see. Before it gets too late, I want to move on to because I want to talk about these two attacks, and I'm purposely not saying the first word because I'll probably get kicked off, and I don't want to get kicked off here. Now, the first one I want to bring up that's not what I meant to do. Shrink this down a little bit. Now, what I want to point out here, this was taken from the Michigan scene where the guy attacked the temple. This is not bright on law enforcement's part. And when I saw this, I could not believe it. So if there are any law enforcement on here, please listen to this. Please, I beg you, because your life could literally depend on it. The fact that there is this many law enforcement people and vehicles in the same place like this, all bundled up, however you want to put it, is stupid, ignorant. Use whatever word you want to. When we first attacked Iran, and I brought this up a few times, I put out a post. I know some of you remember. Please stay on your toes. Be observant everywhere you go right now, because they are going to be attacking us at home. I said that. I was very clear. Even had some people in the comments making fun of it. Oh, yeah, that's going to happen. Well, we've had at least 3 T attacks since then. The chances of there being a secondary device. Okay. This is what these people do. They will cause a scene, such as ram a car into a temple. And that's not even the main attack. The main attack is they're going to wait till a crap ton of law enforcement officers and first responders get there and then set off the main device. And then take out 100 law enforcement and first responders at the same time. That is why we learn to never do this. There is no reason whatsoever for there to be this many law enforcement officers there, first off. None. And for them to all to be in the same place like this, the same vicinity, mark my words, this will happen. So if law enforcement doesn't learn from this right now, it's going to be bad. So if there are any law enforcement on here, go to your chief, go to your sheriff, and please bring this up with this picture and say, I know you know, but we never need to do this. I don't know what's going on in Michigan. I would think they would be better trained. Obviously, they're not. This scares the shit out of me. This is very concerning to me. Because there is a good chance that this whole incident was a trial run. There's a very good chance of that. Also, even if it wasn't a trial run, it didn't work out because the only person's life that was taken was the POS. We'll call him an Islamist. So it didn't work. You think that the rest are just going to go, yeah, let's stop now. No. They're going to want this to be carried out. And I try to, when I'm thinking about these situations, I try to think like they would. And when I saw this picture, I was like, I know what my next route would be. And I guarantee you they're thinking the same thing. This is unacceptable. I mean, I could not believe the amount of law enforcement cars I saw in that area. Again, no reason that many should be here. Because here's another thing. What if this was just the first? What if they had 2 more people on the opposite side of town planning something big? And they did this one to draw all law enforcement away from them. Well, it worked. Now, luckily, that didn't happen in this case. But again, they're watching this. These people are trained. And they want to take out as many Americans as possible. That's their goal, especially law enforcement. And Michigan's walking right into it. Again, I hope somebody looked at this. I can't be the only one. I know that. I just hope people open their ears up there and listen to whoever the other people that caught this and is like, hey, it's the same thing when you see 10 cars involved in a pursuit. Do you know how many cars are supposed to be involved in a pursuit? 4. That's it. There should never, ever, under any circumstance, be more than 4 police cars involved in a pursuit. It's way too dangerous for there to be more. Way too dangerous. There should only be 4. I can go to any small town in this in the state of Alabama, at least, and watch a pursuit, and every cop in the area is going to be in the pursuit because they're ignorant. They don't train, and they don't understand this stuff. They just want to be in on the action. It's going to cost them their lives. Anyway, I'll get off that soapbox, but that's the first thing I wanted to point out in this. I'll have to go back at my post. Actually, let's do that right quick because I just thought of something. I think religious places is exactly the main things I brought up. Let me bring up the exact post. March the 1st is when I posted this. Austin, Texas. This is exactly what we feared. Last night, the city of Austin, Texas experienced a horrific mass shooting. Innocent people were hurt. Families are shattered. A night that should have been filled with laughter turned into chaos and tragedy. Less than 12 hours before this happened, I made never mind. That's the second post. Oh, yeah, that's right. I made the post before the first incident happened. So here's the first one. So this is March the 1st, less than 12 hours before that first attack happened. We all need to stay alert and aware of what's happening around us. During the Biden administration, a lot of Iranian agents crossed our border. And that was not a political statement. That's just a fact. It's not a matter of if something will happen. It's when. If you see something, say something. Vigilance matters. And to those attending church tomorrow, because this was on a Saturday, be on guard. Be safe, be courageous, stay aware of your surroundings, and look out for one another. We must remain strong and prepared. And then, boom, we have the temple incident. And I'm not some genius. And the reason I say, like, it's not like I'm the only one that was thinking this way. There's a lot of me. But please pay attention when people like me are talking to you about your safety. We don't just say random things about this stuff. This is very serious stuff. But you need to stay vigilant wherever you are. And I don't mean this. There's some women that are way tougher than men. Don't get me wrong. If you're a husband, a father, you need to be prepared to protect your family. And that means not sitting on the freaking couch eating potato chips all day. Get your ass in shape. Have some way to protect your family, some type of serious weapon. That is your responsibility. Please take that serious. A father doesn't get to sit around and live a lackadaisical life. We are here to protect those that we love. That's a fact. Now, I'm not saying that you need to lock yourself in your house and live in a bubble. That is not how you should do. That is not how you should live. I'm just saying, wherever you are, whenever you're out, be observant. Most of these incidents, they don't just wake up that morning and decide they're going to go do that. They case it out. They run recon. They watch places for weeks. They figure out the best place they want to do it. Now, I don't know about the temple attack yet. I don't know all the details of this guy as far as how many times he cased it out or how many different temples he cased out. But at some point, somebody saw him and probably thought, that guy's looking strange. What is he doing? And they didn't say anything. That's what I'm talking about. They're going to stand out. They are going to stand out. Be observant. And if you are in a crowded place, and that bottom part of your brain that tells us something's up, listen to it and get the hell out of there. Leave the area. Leave the area. Listen to that. It's right most of the time. Now, I've been with trial and everything and driving 6 hours a day. I don't know anything about this guy yet. See much on him or anything, but I want to move on to the other one that happened in Virginia because I know a little about that guy. And I know his kind. I know how those extremists, the things they do and the things they want to do and the things they learn and train for. And because this next guy was literally put in prison for working with ISIS. And then we let him out after 10 years. That is treason. You're supposed to get the death penalty for that. How are we letting it? I had no idea that was happening. I had no idea that those people weren't being put in jail for life. I had no idea. Until this came, I was like, what? It does not make any sense. Well, I mean, I know why he was out. Oh, God. I was looking for that, and I just saw another headline that came up. That sucks. Thomas Medlin, the 15-year-old kid from Long Island that met somebody off of roadblocks I did the podcast on, his body was found last night in Brooklyn waters. I was afraid of that. That sucks. Anyway, let me stay on track, and then I'll talk about that Monday or something. Oh, that sucks. So 41-year-old Mohammed Jallo was a former ex-Army National Guard member. And this is the guy that opened fire at Old Dominion University in Virginia on Thursday. He took the life of an instructor and injured two other people. This is people that didn't see something and say something. This is people that saw something and did something. These are my kind of people. Reserve officers, ROTC, students stepped in and subdued and took the suspect. And they were not armed. That's what I'm talking about. We need more people like that. That's real men. And unfortunately, it was a lieutenant colonel with the U.S. Army that life got taken. That sucks. He walked into the Old Dominion classroom on Thursday and asked if it was an ROTC class. Seems like it would have stood out. And someone said yes, and then he took out the instructor or he shot this instructor several times as he was shouting Allah Akbar. Now, this is not against Muslims. Please understand there is a big difference in Islamists and Muslims. Some people act like they're the same. They're not. Islamists are radical Muslims. They're the dangerous ones. They're the ones that are out to take all Americans out. Not the same as most Muslims. I can't stand to see people acting like all Muslims are evil people. That's not the case whatsoever. The Islamists are the extremists. That's what this guy was. And this is not a joke. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm being dead serious. Listen to me. If you are ever in a area, no matter where you are, and someone starts shouting Allah Akbar, get the hell out of there. Again, that's no joke. This is all part of their jihad. And most of the time, when they're carrying out an attack, they are going to be screaming that. It's not something you want to hear. If you ever do, again, get the hell out of there as fast as possible, no matter what. About saying what, Lewingo? What did I say? I don't think they can ban you from TikTok for saying that. I mean, that's a religious thing. Like, would I get banned for saying praise God? I would hope not. So in 2016, he was convicted of attempting to provide material support to ISIS. He was sentenced to 11 years in 2017. Well, if you do the math, he didn't do 11 years. He was in federal prison, so I'm guessing he did 80%, which would be around 8.5, 9 years. He was released in December 24. Yeah, so he did 8 years. He served in the Virginia Army National Guard as a combat engineer from 09 to 15. He had no deployments. How the hell are you in the military from 09 to 15 and you don't have any deployments? I thought everybody had a deployment in that time. He left the Army as a specialist. Yeah, he was not a good soldier. He didn't do much there. I'm surprised he made it 4 years. So he was plotting an attack with what he thought was an ISIS member back then, ended up being a FBI informant. And we let him back out of prison. Like, you think you're going to change those people? No. Their entire life is built around them carrying out their jihad their entire life. You're not going to change their minds, ever. Okay, I'm trying to find it, but I was told by a reliable source that he had recently traveled overseas. It's probably not something the mainstream media is going to put out. Let me see. But I'm going to tell you what happened. He was rejected from the Army because he couldn't make it. And at some point, somebody recruited him, and he fell into it. And we let him back out of prison. That should piss everyone off. Everyone. It's so ignorant. That lieutenant colonel's life is on whoever let him out's hands. Anyway, so we had the Austin attack. We had the attack in New York City this past week with the two guys that tossed the makeshift explosives on the protesters outside of the mayor's residence. And then the temple in Michigan. And then this at Old Dominion. It's not going to stop. So please understand that. It's going to keep coming. Does any of this have anything to do with the planes being diverted? I'm not familiar with the planes being diverted. I'm guessing that happened today, but I wouldn't doubt it. I'm not saying it does. I don't know because I'm not familiar with that yet, but I wouldn't doubt it. But listen, it's not going to stop. There's going to be a lot more. Again, there were over 400 documented Islamist extremists that crossed our border in the last 4 years. That's the ones they know about. How many do you think crossed? Thousands. Thousands. And to my knowledge, none of them have done anything yet. Because I think most of these lived here. Let that sink in. Again, I'm not saying all this to try to scare you to death or try to make you, lock yourself in your house and not go anywhere. Don't do that. I'm saying be observant. Be prepared. Someone the other day asked me, do you not ever wear boots? Like cowboy boots, I guess. I'm like, no, that's ridiculous. I don't ride a horse. If I'm riding a horse, I'll wear cowboy boots. I wear lace-up tennis shoes. Hiking shoes. It's like, wow, what do you get boots for? Like, because I can't run good in them. Like, who's just out running? You don't know. I don't know. You never know. I'm prepared for that stuff. I'm always thinking about that stuff when I'm out. Now, I don't expect everybody to be like that. It's just my nature of the things I've done. I'm always looking over my shoulder because I know, number one, I know there are people out to get me. And then now with this stuff going on, I'm even more paranoid. Paranoia can save your life. Be prepared. And if your husband sits around, does nothing but eat potato chips and drink, say something to him. He needs to be prepared. Again, it's our job. Be observant, though. No matter where you are, get off your phones. Don't be walking around, standing around, looking down at your phone. Be observant. This stuff will stand out to you if somebody is out. If they're out reconning a place and you're observant enough, it will stick out to you. And again, that bottom part of your brain is going to tell you something's up with that. Something is up with that. If you see anything that looks suspicious, anyone that looks suspicious, now, again, you see a Muslim standing on a street corner, that's not suspicious. Okay? It's not. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about watch people and watch their body language. Watch what they're doing, no matter what they look like. Because they will be sitting somewhere, taking pictures of something that doesn't make sense, taking video of something that doesn't make sense. If you look at them, they're going to freak out a little bit. And why would that be? Because they're up to something. If you see something like that, call the police and tell them. And be specific with the police if you call them. Say, look, this is what I saw. This is exactly what I saw. Again, if you call them because you saw a Muslim standing on the street corner, that's ridiculous. And that's not what we want to tie our 911 centers up with or non-emergency lines, whichever. I'm talking about something that's legit, looks suspicious. It will stand out to you. If you see somebody in an area, whether it be a crowded area or whatever, and they've got a big bulge sticking out somewhere, like either down their pants or up their like shirts or on their back, in a big jacket pocket, something like that, and they're constantly touching that area, that's a clue. It's either going to be a firearm or worse. Could be an explosive. But they're always going to be touching it. I can sit somewhere and point out every single person that concealed carries. And I'm 100% on it. 100% on it. Because you're going to touch that 25 times in a minute. That's a little sarcastic, but you're going to be touching it a lot. It's people that know what to look for. They know you're carrying concealed, unless you're highly trained and you know not to constantly be reaching for it. But it's just that it's human nature to be, oh, is it still there? Is it still good? Whatever. They're always going to touch it. And if it's one of these people and they have an explosive on them, same thing. Because an explosive could be this size. Actually, it could be this size. It doesn't have to be something big. They're pretty sophisticated now. But if they're carrying something like this on them, again, they're going to constantly be tugging at it, touching it. If they walk by a mirror in a department store or walk by a window in a store or something where they can kind of see themselves, they're going to look over at themselves and look and see how it looks constantly. Those are, just watch for those things. And again, if you see something like that, get out of there. And if it looks suspicious enough to you, tell the police. Let that, if see something, say something, constantly be going over in your head constantly when you're out. Don't set your weapon on your seat. It needs to be secure wherever it is. Because if you have an accident, if you ran off the road or something, that's going to go flying. It needs to be secure. It needs to be on you. A weapon in your purse is not going to do you much good most of the time. That's just the fact. Now, that's better than nothing. Don't get me wrong. That is better than nothing. But you need to really practice and train and try to figure out a good place. And trust me, my partner in narcotics was a female. There's places you can put a weapon that doesn't stand out, no matter what you're wearing. I mean, I've seen it tons of times. You can make it work. You need to get used to it, but you definitely need to practice. Wherever you keep it, you need to practice drawing that at least 10 times a day. And that's not a lot. Before you leave your house in the morning, stand in front of your bathroom mirror and practice drawing it at least 10 times. When you get home that evening, same thing. That's 20 times a day. You do that for 30 days in a row. That's a lot of times. That's what you need to do. You have to train. You have to practice. You have to get your muscle memory down. But it needs to be on you. When you're driving in your car, it needs to be on you. Now, if I'm driving long distances, a lot of times I won't have it on me, but I've got a very secure place that's within my hand's reach, that it's there. It's not in a case like I can just grab it and it's ready. So that's okay if you're driving long distance stuff, because it gets a little uncomfortable. I understand that, but it needs to be at least within your arm's reach, and it needs to be secure. Now, whether it's on you or secure in your car where it's in arm's reach and where you can quickly grab it, those are the kind of things you need to think about. When stuff happens, it will happen so fast. Trust me, you will not have a chance to think. You won't. It will happen so fast, you won't have a chance to think. That's why your muscle memory has to be there, or you're going to be completely ineffective. Miranda, the magnetic ones are good. And you can bolt those. You can bolt those to right under your dash, like I said, right where your right leg is, something like that. Or you can. There's some holsters that'll fit in between the seat and like the console, where it's very easily accessible. Something like that. But you want it to be secure, because again, if you're in an accident, that thing's going to go flying everywhere, and you're not going to be able to get it. It's going to be worthless. That's why it needs to be in a very secure place, but it also needs to be very readily available. If you're terrified to get one, don't get one. There are other weapons. It doesn't have to be a firearm. Now, yes, that's the best one, but if you're not willing to put in the training and the hours, don't get one. Get a big can of spray, keep that on you, like mace, OC spray. The pointy objects, I can't say the word, I don't think. Have those. I mean, there's like, I also keep a big can of bear spray in my driver's side door. Like a big can, it's like this big, of bear spray. You hit somebody with that, they're going to stop what they're doing. But yeah, if you're scared of firearms, that's fine. Don't get one. There are other options. But if you carry a firearm, you have to listen, at least, and most of you have heard me say this before, at least 1,000 rounds a year through that. Live rounds, at least. Again, if you're not willing to do that, do not carry a firearm. It's going to be worthless to you. And if it's the right person attacking you, they're just going to get it from you and use it on you. At least 1,000 rounds a year, and that's at least that's the bare minimum. You need to draw it wherever you carry it, especially concealed. You need to practice drawing it constantly. Now, when you're practice drawing it, have it unloaded. And I'm serious about that. Make sure it's completely unloaded. And then sit there and practice drawing it. Again, at least 10 times a day, but you can easily knock out. I mean, some days I end up doing 100 times a day just randomly. But I at least do 20 times a day. And I've been doing that for, oh my God, probably close to 10 years. I mean, there's literally no telling how many times I've practiced drawing. There's no telling. Astronomical number. But I know that I can do it. Literally, I don't have to think about it at all. Like if I need it, it's going to be in my hand before I realize it. And that's just the way it is. And that's how you need to get. But a lot of people are afraid of firearms. That is fine. Again, there are other options. If you have small children, you have to be extremely careful if you have firearms. Extremely careful. You are responsible for that. So if you have small children, either don't have a firearm or understand how serious you have to take it. And it can never, ever be where they can get a hold of it. Ever, under any circumstance. Like at my bedside, I've got the fingerprint one, little lock box. So all I got to do is, and I've got it to where all I got to do is reach over on my nightstand. It's right there. And again, I practice this as well, but I put my finger on it and the drawer pops open and I've got it because I have small children. So there's not a firearm in my house that's not completely locked up at all times. I mean, here in my safe room, I've got a whole room. Some of you have seen it, but it's fully secure because I've got a bunch of firearms hanging on the wall and stuff, but nobody can get in there but me. It's fully secure. Nobody can get in there because again, I have children. So you have to keep that in mind as well. You have to be very, very careful, but always think about safety. Don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt your family member. Yeah, teenagers too. No, I'm telling you, I don't care. And I don't care if they hunt with you every weekend. When you're at home, your teenager, your younger child especially, should never have access, no matter what, to the firearm under any circumstance. If they have friends coming over, you got to double check. Again, there's a lot to think about with a firearm. So again, if you just don't want to put in that time, again, that's okay. There are other options. Oh, I know I was going to show you. Let me take a very quick break and I'll be right back. So as far as the pointy, sharp things, I don't want to take it out because they may ban me or something, but like this, like I keep this one. So I always have a firearm on me, always, but I also have this on me, just hanging under my t-shirt. And again, you can't see it, so I can walk around anywhere, but all I got to do is pull. I mean, this thing would. I've got like 3 or 4 of these, but this thing would do some damage. So again, there's other options, and like I love these little things. I got a bunch of these little things too, but the thing is tiny, but it's got where you can put your finger through it, and then that thing is sharp, and you can just hold it in your hand like that. Like I said, you can put your finger through it. A lot of these little things too. But there's a bunch of options there. I've got a bunch of those pins that they're literal. I should have grabbed that. They're literal pins, like writing pins, but they can be used as a weapon. Like this, they're built to use as a weapon too if you have to. So again, there's tons of options. It doesn't have to be a firearm. Again, if you're not going to put in the time that's required for a firearm and the training and stuff, then don't have one. If you're not comfortable with it and you don't think you can get comfortable, then don't have one. That's fine. Again, there's other options. Again, and like I said, bear spray. Somebody asked where you get bear spray. I think you can get it on Amazon. You could probably get it off TikTok. It's probably on TikTok shop. I need to be selling it, don't I? That's what I need to do. But the little cans of OC. I know a lot of females keep the little cans of OC spray like on their keys. That's good too. I mean, all those things. There and if you have any questions, just message me. Also on this subject, my Patreon is ready. With the trial, I was going to put it out this Monday, but with the trial and stuff, I didn't. But I'll probably have it out this next Monday. But anyway, when I open my Patreon, I'm going to have a bunch of videos on the subscription side of that, the paid subscription side of that, and it's going to be about this stuff. A lot of things like this, very detailed. Again, I'll have videos where I go over my EDCs, the everyday carry things I carry, how I do it, and then everything I carry in my vehicle, everything I have in my wife's vehicle. But I'll have all those kind of videos on there. So I think a lot of people will like it. I know when I had it on TikTok, people like those. And then if you're a paid subscriber on there and there's any video you would want me to do, all you do is ask me and I'll do that. I know when I had it on TikTok before, it's like somebody wanted like a parking lot safety video. I did that, like an elevator safety. I did that, just little things like that. But be a bunch of videos like that. And then also preparedness videos, such as all my go bags I have, and I'll go through all of those. Like I've got a couple wilderness ones. I've got some urban ones, just different things like that. But I'll be going through, breaking all that stuff down. And then again, also anything that anyone wants me to do, I'll do those as well. I love teaching this stuff. I love it. I enjoy it. And I'm not the biggest fan of tasers, honestly. Now, it's better than nothing. Tasers are so ineffective on a lot of people, though. Um, the OC spray is way better. It's way more effective, and you don't have to. The one thing I don't like about tasers is the close proximity you have to be to someone to use them. Versus the spray, you can be back. Now again, it's better than nothing, and I'm not saying you shouldn't have them. I'm not the biggest fan of tasers. I rarely carried a taser when I was in law enforcement, just because I rarely was going to use them. I love spray. I use spray a lot, and I used OC spray so much I was completely immune to it. It didn't bother me at all. And because you can get immune to that if you use it enough. Well, we're not in prison, Katie. If you're in prison, yes, a bar soap and a tube sock works well. Yeah, and I've been asked about the burners a lot, and I've been meaning to get one because I'm going to get one so I can have a true review of it. I need to do that. I need to contact them and see if they give me one actually. But I'm going to get one. But I've heard good things about them. Oh, under my shirt. Well, it's a fixed one, but it's just a blade. But the thing will do some damage. Again, you can put it through, but it just comes out. Again, it's just hanging under my shirt, under a t-shirt, and you can't see it. And I can grab that thing out in a split second. Well, the soap will work in a bond. Did you bring that up before, Katie, when we spoke about this? Somebody did. Was it you? I'm beginning to get a little worried about you if it was you. Has Katie been in prison and just not telling us? Pretty letter opener. It'll work for that as well. Is OC's mace? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, mace, OC spray. They're the same thing. You have a taser, but don't even know if it would work. They are one-time use. I've never seen a one-time use taser. Yeah, I wouldn't trust that at all. Because if you carry a taser, you need to test it every day. I've never even heard of a one-use taser. I wouldn't trust that though. Wasp spray, yeah, no, that's and those. I'll tell you, wasp spray is not a bad idea. And those things will shoot long distances too. So that's not a bad idea at all. Now, if you have the option, get you a big can of bear spray. But wasp spray would work as well, but the bear spray is definitely going to, and the bear spray will take down 5 people at one time if you need to. But wasp spray would definitely work. And again, it would be good for distance because those things will shoot out a long time. I have the bear spray in my car, but we actually have bears and big wild cats around here. Well, yeah, you definitely need. And in Alabama, they do too now. Bears, at least. There have been bears now spotted pretty much all over Alabama. I haven't heard of any attacks, but. A local outdoor store told you not to waste the money on a burner. Buy a good paintball gun and pepper. They told you that because they don't sell them. No, I've heard good things about the burner, but now I don't want to officially tell people to go get one until I try it myself because I don't want to be wrong about it. But I've heard good things about them. But I'm going to get one ASAP. Oh, you were asking if they're one-time use. No, they shouldn't be one-time use. The only thing with bear spray, if someone puts their hand up in close proximity, it's not good. Oh, because it's going to spray back on you? Yep. No, you're right about that. Yeah, the gel, that's a good point, Ashley. Ashley said get a gel, not a spray, if you have the option. And the gels, and so what she's talking about gel is there's, and I think mine's gel. I'll have to look. But there's different mace sprays and bear sprays and stuff that it's not like a spray that comes out. It's more of a gel, so it sticks to whatever it hits. And therefore it's not going to bounce back, if that makes any sense. But yeah, the gels are better because they will stick to whatever they hit. But I mean, a paintball gun's not going to, you could shoot me with a paintball gun all day. It's going to hurt, but it's not going to stop me. And that's not going to stop me. Yeah, there are a lot of different options, but like I said, I'll be doing a lot of videos on my Patreon about all that stuff. Had a bear in Holly Pond not long ago. Oh, it got someone's pet, really? That's crazy. No, there's been tons of sightings, but like I said, I haven't heard of a attack in Alabama. Been hit by a paintball blaster, and it just made me madder than a hornet. Yeah, I mean, again, a paintball, it hurts, but that's not going to stop. I mean, again, if somebody's coming at you and really wants to hurt you, that's probably not going to stop them. And now spray's not 100%. Like I said, if somebody used spray on me, they're out of luck. But spray is more. I've seen spray work more often than tasers. But some people, spray's not going to bother either. But most people it is, for sure. Yeah, the burners are a lot stronger than paintball guns. Like I said, I know a little about them. I've just never shot. I've never used one before, but I've been asked about them a lot. So I need to, and I've said before I was going to get one so I could say, and I need to do that. I keep forgetting. And the one thing I do like about the burners is they would have a more of an intimidation factor as well, because they look like a firearm. I'm a little concerned with Katie and her tube socks with soap. She's gonna make some nunchucks out of them now. gasoline in a lighter, you're going to burn yourself on. You're going to get yourself on fire. I wouldn't suggest that. Don't do that. No, that's no. If you're new or not following me, please follow and or subscribe, depending on what platform you're on. And make sure, especially if you're just following me on TikTok, follow me on the YT. Or subscribe on my YT, and it's the same name, Agent D Baker. You can find me on all the platforms, because TikTok will randomly ban me in a second. None of my videos on TikTok are getting any views right now either. I don't know. I'm guessing because they keep banning me. I don't know. But I literally don't do the things they say. They just will randomly ban you and make up the craziest thing. But anyway, it happens often. So make sure you're following me on the YT as well, because I'm always live on there, for sure. Yeah, my content doesn't come on the FYP now, and my lives, I don't think my lives do either, because I was like on TikTok on lives, I would have 300 or 400 people most of the time. Last few weeks, I might have 100 on at one time. Now on Facebook, my videos get tons of views, but on lives, I never have over 40 people on Facebook ever on my lives. I don't know why. Never. And YouTube's hit or miss on lives. Sometimes we'll have like 2,000 people, and sometimes we'll have 4. It's there's no rhyme or reason to it. But also, you can catch my full I do a full podcast, and you can catch that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. So again, make sure you're following me on. I prefer YouTube because I'm trying to build it up, because it's a slow go. But make sure you check out my full podcast. And then the exciting news is this coming Wednesday, I was a guest on Chris Hansen's podcast, and that he is putting that out this Wednesday on his podcast. And I'll make sure to bring it back up again, obviously Wednesday. And but go ahead and subscribe to his podcast. And again, you can find it on anywhere you find podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe to his so you can check that out, because it's good. And it's going to make someone that apparently wants to be famous really bad a lot more famous than they are now. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm not going to tell the subject yet. I'm going to wait and let you see it, but I think you all will appreciate it, because it's someone that needs to be called out very bad, and we do it. So, but I'm looking forward to that. But make sure you like I said, subscribe to his podcast and check that out. And he's got a lot of good guests on his podcast too. You want to check those out as well. Again, that's this next Wednesday. and I will be putting the Patreon out live very soon. Like I said, I might go ahead and get it out this weekend. I don't know, but I'll put it out when I do. Have I been keeping up with the Jelly Roll controversy? There's no Jelly Roll controversy. That girl is crazy. And the only thing, look, I've looked into that because I respect him because he's been doing a lot of good things. And I wanted to know. And she kept putting out the video where he's talking about Epstein. And she put it out because she took a clip from it, and she put it out and trying to make people think that he was saying that. If you watch the full video, that's what she said about him, and he was literally reading her tweet to the rest of the guys in there. And now she is acting like he was saying that. And that's BS. And the one thing I know, when someone makes up one thing about you, then don't listen to anything else they're saying about them. Because if they're having to make something up, they don't have anything good on them. So no, don't pay attention to that girl. Anytime I see a clip of anything, I go look up the whole video. Well, unfortunately, Lisa, a lot of people don't. Which I'm like, I don't understand why they don't, but they're just lazy, I guess. Oh, actually, no, that's not who that podcast is going to be about. If people are clipping videos, they're trying to hide something. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, as soon as I saw that she put that out, because I'd seen that video a long time ago. Ryan Upchurch put that video out a long time ago. And so I knew the context. And now she's putting out and that's what Brittany Stapleton shared that, like made a video acting like, because Bonnie, Jelly Roll's wife, has been on Brittany Stapleton. And then Brittany Stapleton puts out the video about that video acting like that he was saying that. It's a complete, I mean, it's not what he says. Again, he was reading a tweet that Nicole girl wrote about him. And he was reading that tweet. It's very clear if you see the whole video. It's like you wouldn't misunderstand it. The other girl, about the other with his wife, I don't know what you're talking about, Tawana. Nothing. Everything I've seen going around about him is not. There's nothing to it. Like I said, because I like him and I respect him because he's been doing some good things, a lot of good things, and I wanted to know if anything was true, and I've not found anything reliable whatsoever about. I mean, again, people are going to make up when I mean, me for instance, people are constantly like making up the most random things about me and putting them out. When you're speaking out against people, they're going to they want everybody to be against you, and they will do whatever they can, and they will make up tons of things. And that's what's happening to Jelly Roll right now. may want to check out Ricky Hearn on Facebook. He's calling out. What exactly is he doing? The videos even of his wife were from a long time ago. I don't know what videos you're talking about, Tawana. Law enforcement in Choctaw County, all three of them. I did. Choctaw County is extremely small. I think they literally got like 3 deputies. I'll look at that though. Ricky Hearn. I'll check that out. But the thing I like about Jelly Roll and his wife is they're not, I mean, they don't hide anything. They have told everything that they've done in their past. They no longer wear a mask. And I respect that. Especially someone in the spotlight like them. Most people in the spotlight like that are wearing a mask, meaning you don't have a freaking clue who they really are. We know who they are. They've been completely open and honest about it. But there's a lot of people that don't like seeing people like that succeed and don't like seeing them being successful. And they will do anything they can to take them down. And that's exactly what's happening. But I mean, they both have a tremendous story, life story. And again, they're very open about it. They've never tried to hide it. I mean, he's been open about what his wife used to do forever. He's never tried to hide that. Most people would they do everything in their power to hide that and keep that hidden. Again, they no longer wear a mask, and that you got to respect that because it's hard to find. Yeah, they don't act like they're perfect. I'm going to tell you, people are, I don't even know what stuff, I've not seen the stuff you're talking about, Tawana, but I promise you it's BS. We see this all the time. Jelly Roll spoke out and spoke up for God at the, I don't know, Grammys or whatever the heck it was. I don't remember, one of those big Hollywood shows. They didn't like that at all. And literally, ever since then, they have started a smear campaign, and this is Hollywood. They have started this smear campaign about him. So be very cautious in anything you believe coming from those people. I'm telling you, they do not like what he said on that stage. They don't like that at all. And they will do everything they can to make people stop believing in him because of that. And that's exactly what is going on. Yeah, the stolen land Grammys. Stolen land. That's the biggest freaking joke in the world. Do people not realize that the Native Americans weren't the first ones on this land? Do people really think, like, honestly, I didn't realize people still thought that. But Hollywood apparently thinks that the Native Americans were the first ones on this land. They weren't. Do they literally not teach history anymore? Like it just, I don't understand. It's ridiculous, but teach your children real history. I mean, it's very important. I'm a big history buff, and you need to learn history so you don't repeat it. We continue to repeat it because we don't want to teach real history. We want to make history sound like a feel-good story versus what it really was. Like saying the Civil War was over slavery. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. There's still a lot of people that believe that. That wasn't what it was started over. And now, like I said, I've been seeing people acting like the Native Americans were the first ones on the land, that they didn't take it from somebody. That's not true. It's just, there's so much that people don't want to read. They don't want to read books. And that's the problem. But also on the Native Americans. Now, did the United States do some horrible things to some of those tribes? Absolutely. I'm not doubting. I'm not trying to downplay that. But before that, the Native Americans were the most ruthless group of people on this earth. By far, they were way more ruthless than the Americans have ever been. But for some reason, people don't want to talk about that. Again, you can't change the facts of history. You can't. I mean, yes, Americans have done some horrible things. Everybody has. Everyone. But it just, I mean, Hollywood is so uneducated. They don't have a clue. Oh, you didn't call us a stir, Twana. I'm enjoying the conversation. I think everybody else is as well. But no, I love talking about history. Again, I'm a big history buff. I love history. It drives my son crazy because we're constantly talking to him about history, and he's like, I don't care right now because he's 11. So number one, he knows everything, so you can't teach him anything, and number two, it's like I don't care. But he gets an earful nonstop because I want him to know these things. Because again, I think it's important. But no, again, there wasn't this big smear campaign out against Jailer Girl until he said that speech. I mean, that tells you all you need to know. People, like I said, they do not like that. This is not a conspiracy theory. I mean, y'all know I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Hollywood is filled with demonic people. Truly. Again, that's a fact. Not all of them, like I said, thankfully. but it was built. Hollywood was built around that. I mean, that's a fact. And so when you have someone that's part of that speak up and speak out for Christ, they don't like that. And again, they will do everything they can to take you down. But if you see something on the internet, research it yourself. Don't just take anyone's word for it. Again, we have all the information at our fingertips if you know where to look. Don't just see people they will see a post and share it and just think it's true. Like they do zero research try to find out if that's really true or not. They will just share it. And that's how this ridiculous information gets shared because everyone's too lazy to do any research. And again, it's not like it takes hours to research this stuff. Most things I will see something, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. And it'll take me a minute to figure out, okay, yeah, that's fake. That's not true. A minute. And you look, and that thing will have that post will have 10,000 comments. And you look on the comments and like everybody, oh my God, I can't believe this. Oh, this is horrible. I'm like, it's not true. But most people, they literally will not take a minute and research themselves before sharing these ridiculous things. You don't understand what woke means? Well, it's back to what I hit on the other night a little bit. Acting like there's not male and female anymore. You can't change biology. You can't. You cannot change your chromosomes. You can't. Literally impossible. We have males and females. That's it. So woke are the people that are trying to, number one, they're trying their best to kill women in society as far as they are doing everything they can, and they're doing a decent job of it, of taking women's rights back from them. And it's happening right in front of our faces. And most people and most women don't even see it. Like, it blows my mind when I see a female speaking up for this stuff. I'm like, do you not see what you're doing? That's part of woke. There's a lot to it, but all that stuff and all this, the defund me police, all that. It's just, I don't know, there's a long list of things. Yes, feminizing men. They hate masculinity. Which is, again, you won't have a free country for long if you lose masculinity. You won't. That's just a fact. And I would have never in my life thought that would be an issue. Never. People are so ignorant, though, they don't understand. Do you know who is putting that in the mind? You know who is brainwashing people about that? China. Russia. Why? Because we are the most powerful, by far, most powerful nation in the world, and have been, and will continue being as long as we still have masculinity. This is a playbook, literally. It is a playbook, and that is part of it, to take away masculinity. And that's, I mean, and these people that are for that, they're so ignorant. My God, I feel sorry for their kids. And like, no, you're exactly right, Denham. Hating farmers and ranchers are a big part of it too. No, you're exactly right. But like, I saw a post the other day and somebody's talking about, oh, we're on the brink of a civil war. There will never be a civil war in the United States again. Ever. There wouldn't be a war. If it came to that, there's not going to be any war. Because what are the ideologies of most military personnel? Right. They're more right-wing. There's your Civil War. Who's the other side have? Feminine men. I mean, literally, I'm not trying to be funny. It's just a fact. So there would never be no war. Now, I don't think it would ever come to this either, but if it did, it would just be us getting rid of them. I mean, because it wouldn't be hard at all. They have no, I mean, they've given up all of that. You know, they're against firearms. They're against masculinity. You know, they're for men wearing skirts. Again, who would they take to battle? And I'm not trying to be, I promise you, I'm not trying to be funny. Who would they take to battle? They don't have anybody. So, no, there would never be a civil war. No, you definitely don't have to be conservative. I mean, you don't have to be a Republican. But you definitely don't have to be a Democrat either. I have big problems with both of them. Now, I am a Republican, but I don't always vote Republicans. I vote for the person. I don't always vote Republican. I mean, I definitely have issues with both sides. I have way more in common with Republicans, but I mean, you don't have to pick a side. You just need to be yourself and put your mask down and just be who you really are. Now, I'm the same way. I definitely don't agree with everything Trump does. Now, I'm a big fan of his because, in my opinion, he is exactly who we needed at this time, and he is bringing us back to that world domination again, which is where we need to be. And he's not afraid, and I love that stuff. But there's definitely things that he does that I don't like at all. I don't agree with him on everything by any means. And like, there was a lot of things I agreed with Obama on. There's a lot of things I didn't, but there was a lot of things I did. Now, Biden, nothing. He's the worst, most worthless president we've ever had by far. And anyone that would be honest about it will say that. There was a lot of things I didn't like about Bush. A lot. I liked Obama more than I did Bush, to be honest. But yeah, Biden, he was a whole other, my God. And Kamala Harris is possibly the most ignorant politician I've ever heard. She literally can't carry on a conversation. I don't know what happened to her because there's no way she's always been like that. There's no way. I know she had to be intelligent at one point, but I don't know what happened to it. Yeah, no, Obama messed up the healthcare. No, you're exactly right. Yeah, no, I did not like that at all. Oh yeah, Obama lied a lot, but I knew who he really was. And like I said, parts of it I liked. I mean, he would off a terrorist in a split second. Now he liked war more than I do by far. He loved war, for sure. But now, I mean, I was when I got my deployments were under Obama's administration. It was pretty nice because he didn't have a lot of rules and regulations in war. He didn't. Trump's not evil. No, he's not evil. He's not an evil man. Again, Trump is somebody that doesn't have a mask, and most people can't. They don't understand that. Now, again, he is far from perfect, and I don't agree with the way he is about some things for sure, at all. But no, he's not evil. You can watch him and tell. I mean, he truly cares about people. I mean, he does. What do I think about the files then? What are you talking about? But Christy, that was fake. That was not what that was. Trump is not in the Epstein files. The only time Trump's name is in the Epstein files are under completely anonymous tips that have that again, I've talked about them before. I brought a lot of them up on screen before. It's a tip like an anonymous tip that was my neighbor's brother had a girlfriend 35 years ago, and she was at this party and this happened. Literally, that's one of the tips. Every time, that's the only time Trump's name is in there. So the thing with the video, number one, Trump's not sitting there. He's not the one putting that stuff out. That came from one of his aides, but they showed a video of one thing. I've got it. I'll remind me Monday night and I'll play it. And I'll show you exactly what happened. They showed they were playing a commercial, a video, and that video ended, and the monkey thing was the next video playing, and it caught the very first of that one. So when they cut the video, and I've done it before too, when they cut the video, they didn't realize that part was still on there. But I'll show you the whole video. I've got it. And then you'll go, that's what that was? But yes, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, I'll show it to you, Christy. Remind me Monday. Yeah, I showed you all how to search the Epstein files on the Gmail thing. And no, I mean, no, there's nothing bad in there about Trump, literally. Again, I have a bridge, or I have oceanfront property in what's the song? Arizona. To sell you, if you think there's anything bad about Trump in those, and the Democrats the last 4 years didn't bring them out. Like, do y'all realize how many things they literally made up that's now proven? Like the Russia gate that was literally made up, and they have full proof of that now, trying to take him down. And that was just one instance. So you think if they had the real thing, they wouldn't have? Again, you're living in a whole fantasy world if you think that. You're in your own fantasy world if you think that. That doesn't take a lot of sense to understand. I mean, I can say he's not in there. I just told you why. You don't think they went through every single thing trying to find something on him? Again, look at the things they literally made up about him. And what did I just say earlier about when we're talking about something? The second someone makes up something about you trying to get you, that is 100% should tell you they don't have anything real. Because if they did, they'd be putting out the real stuff. They wouldn't be having to make up anything. So, yes, I can say that. Because Biden's DOJ had access to all of them. Everything. And if there would have been something in there, they would have brought it out. They tried to assassinate him. Like, they tried to literally take his life. What does Bundy have to do with it? I'm talking about the previous 4 years when Biden was in charge. Or Biden wasn't. But the FBI director at that time needs to be in prison for the things he did. So again, and Comey had all access to every Epstein file there is. And I guarantee you they went through those with a fine-tooth comb. If there was anything about Trump, my God, they would have, like, you don't have I'm not trying to be rude, but you don't have a lot of sense if you think that. Then release what? them releasing any of the files was the worst thing that he could have done. I'm completely against that because of this stuff now. People don't know how to actually look at the stuff, and those files are getting so misinterpreted. It's ridiculous. That's why you don't release just a ton of files, case files like that to the public, because the public are dumb. So are you saying that Comey didn't have access to all the files? Like, where the hell were they then? Like, I don't understand. Where are you saying the files were? Also, were you demanding all these when Biden was in office? Nobody was. Again, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that. I'm not. But if you think there's something bad about Trump in those files, you're crazy. Like, you literally have the Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, hands down. There's no way around it. Because, Jesus, there is no way they wouldn't have brought that out. There is no way they wouldn't have. I mean, I would bet every single thing I own on that. It's just, my goodness, people. I got to go. It is late, and oh my God, it's very late. It's been a long day. But hey, oh my God, we've been going for 4 hours. Yeah, I need to go. Hey, I appreciate each and every one of you being on here. Even if we don't agree, I seriously, I mean that. I really do appreciate it. I apologize that I wasn't clear enough when I was going over the trial. I should have waited. I just wasn't prepared enough, but I know I jumped around a lot and probably confused some of you. But I will have it all put together once the trial is over, and put out a full podcast, and it will all, I'll put everything together and be very detailed about it. And depending on who testifies Monday, we'll probably talk about some stuff Monday night as well. But again, I appreciate all of y'all. I hope you have a great rest of your Friday night and rest of your weekend. And if there's anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to let me know. And I will see y'all back again Monday night.
Welcome back to Truth or Recon. I'm Agent D. Baker, a retired narcotics detective, SWAT team member, and U.S. Navy combat veteran of OEF and OIF. With years of real-world experience in high-stakes environments, I have seen firsthand the dangers that lurk both in our communities and now increasingly online. These conversations can get raw, they can get heavy, and sometimes they may not be suitable for children, so consider this your disclaimer. But if you care about truth, justice, and accountability, then you're in the right